And the question is a very practical one. So what is the minimum number of applications stroke level of complexity we should have to start thinking about moving to containers? So what's your view on that one, Ray?
Zero. My perspective is that you start thinking about containerizing your applications yesterday. I think that the benefits of having a consistent developer and production or developer stage production environment are absolutely worth investing in as soon as humanly possible. For the time it takes to do develop locally, to push to your continuous integration solution, for example, and to have it promoted through environments in, say, 5 to 10 minutes, whereas it used to take 15 to 30 minutes just to build an individual virtual machine, then that's a huge win in terms of time to market, so to speak, or time to production. I think that there is no real task that couldn't benefit from this type of confidence and portability.
Excellent. Matt?
I was going to ask Ray another question because he uses Circle CI, I think, but you can use Jenkins. There's a number of tools you use. And I was going to sort of flip it back to Ray because I think just explaining for anybody on the call that isn't aware of, this is so closely linked to the developer pipeline. The CD bit is continued deployment, right? So the ability to go into these microservices, change the code out of the source library, have that deployed, have it smoke tested, integrated tested, pass, deployed into production. I mean, that can take half an hour now. You can be changing your apps every half an hour. In the old days, when I was a mainframe system programmer, that was a 6-month project to get that done, right? And so I don't think it matters how many apps you've got. Start with maybe some of your front end web apps because they're easier to move, and some of the legacy database stuff is harder to move. But I don't think there's any minimum. And you've got people like Andrew and the organization he runs, who, if that's too complicated for you, if you haven't got 400 developers and a whole bunch of Kubernetes experts, and you want to go and buy, containers as a service from a more niche cloud provider because you're a bit scared of what it means to go and do that in Amazon, there are providers in the industry like ASE who can help you with that. And I think with smaller organizations, that's often the way. I deal with the kind of companies who develop OpenStack and deploy thousands of Kubernetes clusters with it. You're not going to have those people. So sometimes buying it in a more packaged format is easier to consume.
Brilliant. Andrew, would you like to continue on with that one?
Yeah, I think just to echo the Ray and Matt's comments, I think, zero is a good place to start. It's probably a methodology and a thought way of thinking than it is about a deep technology and having to worry about how you actually deploy it. I think there's probably some misconceptions that Kubernetes is, for the data center and big clusters and all this sort of stuff as Matt just touched on. Your Kubernetes cluster could be a single node, could be one node running on a Raspberry Pi in the back of a taxi. It doesn't have to be a huge number of grunty servers running in some data center somewhere to provide value and effectiveness in deploying your application.
Can I also add to that is that you don't have to, and if you are a little bit daunted by the idea of managing Kubernetes, apart from the fact that there are managed Kubernetes services out there, and I'd always recommend adopting those rather than trying to spin up your own production Kubernetes cluster and maintaining the security headaches. Definitely go with one of the cloud providers' Kubernetes solutions, but you don't have to move. You don't have to go directly from I have a Docker container to I have to deploy this on Kubernetes. There are managed serverless environments out there that will just scale your containers for you, and there are other ways of orchestrating your containers. Docker Compose is a native solution for that, and it's depending on your production workloads and your requirements. That is absolutely production ready. If you're going to be deploying a website, then there's no reason why you shouldn't just have exactly the same stack locally in your development as you do in a virtual machine in a cloud provider. That's totally a valid pathway.
And you don't have to go all in either, right? You might have a LAMP stack. You might just want to take your front end or
That's right.
leave your database on the server, or take your database, leave your front end. So it's not an all or nothing approach. You can do this, in little pieces over time.